Hi, everybody. You're very welcome along to this free 7-lesson online Ayurveda course. So my name is Noel O'Neill and I'm a director of the Ayurveda Centre in Ireland. And I'm going to be your host for this great 7-lesson course. So in this first lesson, this very simple lesson, really, what I want to do is I want to talk to you a little bit about what Ayurveda is. I'm sure many of you have come across it before, and for some of you, it's probably going to be a completely new term. So I just want to go back to some basics about what Ayurveda is and explain about it. Then I want to talk a little bit about the content of this course. So you can expect to gain from this course, the knowledge that you can get from this course and what's involved in the different lessons. And then I want to introduce you to the great Ayurvedic practitioners who are going to run the course. And each of them, I'm going to introduce each of them in turn, and they're going to give a little talk about what they hope you can get from the course and what their favorite part of the course is as well, Okay, so back to the basics. Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is made up of two words. Aryu means lifespan and Veda means knowledge. So Ayurveda is the knowledge of lifespan. It is reckoned to be the oldest tradition of healthcare in the world. Now, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to be upsetting Tibetans or Chinese people. There are many great ancient traditions of natural healthcare. So we'll just go with the statement that it's one of the oldest traditions of natural healthcare in the world. It's very widely used in Asia, particularly in India. Obviously, there are millions of people that use Ayurveda as their main form of medicine. It's very much integrated into mainstream medicine as well. You have Ayurvedic departments in most major hospitals over there. In order to be an Ayurvedic doctor in India, it's a 6-year degree course, so it's quite an extensive course. It's called a BAMS, the Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Science. And it is gaining a huge amount of traction in the West. And I think the fact that it's mostly a prevention-orientated system of healthcare is gathering a lot of favor among people, and that's why people are becoming interested in it. So essentially what is Ayurveda? Well, Ayurveda sees health in terms of balance and ill health in terms of imbalance. And in actual fact, if you look at the word disease, it's contained in the word disease. Disease is dis-ease. The system is no longer at ease with itself. And when the system is no longer at ease with itself, that manifests itself in many different ways and at many different levels, some very serious, some very mild, So essentially, Ayurveda sees itself in terms of balance within a person. And that's why it pays particular importance to things like sleep. Getting a good night's sleep is seen as essential for health. We now know through scientific research that some great things happen at nighttime when you're asleep. In the depths of sleep, there's a lot of detoxification going on. Even from an emotional perspective, our ability to deal with things and remain calm is very much improved if we can get a decent night's sleep. Our ability to forgive and forget and not be gripped by little problems that exist in life or little fallouts that we have with people. Good night's sleep can cure a lot of these things. Of course, on the other hand, if you're not getting a good night's sleep, you can all of those things can be perpetuated, and you can eventually run into trouble. But even nowadays, I think any doctor will accept that a good night's sleep is very important. It's always been important from an Ayurvedic perspective. Obviously, diet is seen as very important, not only what you eat but when you eat, and the like things like sitting down when you're eating your main meal, not eating when you're stressed, not eating on the go, having your main meal in the middle of the day, and we explain why that's important as well. And then exercise routines are seen as very important, and stress management, obviously, whether it's yoga or meditation or some religious practice that you have, can be very good for your health if you're able to deal with stress and have a mechanism to kind of escape from the world for a little while, to experience some silence and some peace in your own mind. So all of these things, Ayurveda is essentially a diet and a lifestyle system of healthcare, okay? It's definitely not a pill for an ill system of healthcare. And if you're looking for a pill for an ill, you've come to the wrong place. Ayurveda is knowledge. It means knowledge of life, okay? And that's what you get in this course. You get knowledge. What you do with that knowledge then is completely up to yourself. You can have that knowledge and not implement it and keep going with the way you're going, and generally things will just tend to get worse. Or you can make changes in your life and you can start doing things differently, and you can start examining the way you're living your life and the problems that you have and addressing them and doing things to move yourself forward. Obviously, we can't do that for you. We can provide the knowledge, and the doctors can provide the knowledge, and this ancient system of healthcare can provide the knowledge, but actually putting that into place, I'm afraid, is going to be up to you. Okay, so Ayurveda sees ill health in terms of disease. or disease in terms of imbalance. Okay, so essentially, what are we trying to balance aside from all this diet and lifestyle and all these things? What are we trying to balance in Ayurveda? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an overview of the whole world view that Ayurveda has on the whole of life. Okay, so fundamentally, Ayurveda, and this is going to be a little bit abstract to start with, but it becomes very concrete later on. So just bear with it. Okay, fundamentally, Ayurveda sees consciousness, intelligence as being the basic foundation of life. Okay, so this consciousness, it's not a material thing, it's beyond the material. This intelligence, this consciousness is the fundamental aspect, the root aspect of all of life. Now, it's interesting because it's also, again, contained in what we call ourselves. We call ourselves human beings. Okay, now we do that, but probably we've never really stopped to think, what does that mean? Being, what is being? Well, being is another word for consciousness, our existence, our intelligence. And we are human beings. In other words, we are the expression of that field of intelligence in a human physiology, in your unique individual human physiology. No, we may have lots of attributes and similar, but none of us are identical. Okay, so we are an expression of that field of consciousness in this particular form, in this particular life, in these particular circumstances that we find ourselves in. So consciousness is fundamental to the view, the life view of Ayurveda. And that's why things like meditation or contemplative techniques are also seen as being very important, because what they do is they allow the mind to still itself. And in that still aspect of the mind, it's possible to perceive that field of being. And that's why meditation is very important. And we will talk about meditation throughout the course at different times. And obviously, the scientific research on meditation at this stage, maybe 30 years ago, you could have said, well, it's maybe a bit hairy-fairy, you know, is there any evidence to back it up? But at this stage, there's hundreds and hundreds of research papers to show the benefits of practicing meditation. And as I say, we will talk about that. But consciousness is unmanifest. It's not a material thing. You can't touch it or feel it. You can experience it, but it doesn't have, you know, attributes that we consider with material things. But and obviously we live in a material world. We have I see the computer and the table and the floor and all these things around me. So that consciousness has to go through some changes in order to express itself in the material world. And in actual fact, what consciousness does is expresses itself through 5 basic elements. And those 5 basic elements are earth, air, fire, water, and space. So I'll repeat them. They're earth, air, fire, water, and space. So everything that we can experience in the manifest universe is made up or composed of earth, air, fire, water, and space. And that's everything. That's the table, the chairs, you, me, everything. Okay. And in Ayurveda, what it does is it combines these elements into 3 what are called doshas. And those doshas are vata, pitta, and kapha. And the whole course of Ayurveda goes very, very deeply into these 3 doshas. Vata is made of air and space. Pitta is made of fire and water. And kapha is made of earth and water. So these are what are called the doshas. And every human being has all 3 doshas in them, okay, that make them up within their nature, okay? And these both affect us mentally as well as physically. But no 2 human beings are the same. And that's the very unique thing about Ayurveda. It sees everybody as being unique. So what suits you, what's good for your health, is not necessarily what suits me and what's good for my health. So it's not a one shoe fits all. So sometimes people are told, well, vigorous exercise is good for everybody. And vigorous exercise may be good for some people, and it may be not so good for some other people. If you're of a vata type nature, now vata is air and space. So look at the qualities of air and space. They're very light, it's very ethereal, it's very moving. So a vata person will typically be of a very thin build. They'll have a very quick moving mind. They flit from one thing to another. And that's a vata characteristic, okay? Now, vata is full of movement anyway. Vata people are always on the move. They're swapping about, changing their legs, you know, the position of their legs when they're sitting, getting up and down, all these things. So you get a vata person and you get them to join a spin class, and they go and they do the spin class in the evening time. And then they come home and it's 10 o'clock or half 10 and it's time to go to bed, and they get into bed and they can't go to sleep because they're completely wired to the moon. There's all this activity going on. And that's because that activity of a spin class doesn't suit a very Vata person. A very Vata person just needs a nice evening walk. Is good enough for them, do a couple of thousand steps in a walk. But Vata is full of movement anyway. So you add on that additional movement and it puts them out of balance. It means there's too much Vata in their system. Whereas a Kapha person, Kapha is earth and water. So what have earth and water got in common? Very heavy things. They're very heavy. And a Kapha person will tend to have a very strong build. They'll be very strong people. They'll be slow moving, slow to pick up things, but once they have them, they retain them. Very strong immune systems. They don't get sick too often, but they have that Kapha element, and that is a kind of a slowness of element, okay? And if that builds up too much in the person, then you can get things like they become overweight, they can become obese, they can become lethargic, they can be just sit around on the couch all day, they've no motivation to do anything, and depression can sometimes be associated with Kapha as well. So Kapha people need movement. They need things. So spin class is perfect for a Kapha person, but it's not perfect for a Vata person. So this is what I mean. Everybody has a unique nature, and that nature determines then what you choose from nature to bring balance to you or what puts you out of balance. So just to give another example, a Pitta person. Pitta people tend to be very fiery because Pitta is the fire element, okay? And they tend to have a moderate build halfway between Vata and Kapha. And they're very sharp intellect. They like to understand things. They like to be in control of things. And Pitta is a great dosha. I have quite a lot of Pitta in me myself. It's a very organizing dosha. Pitta people get things done, okay? And in balance, they're great. They're fantastic people to be around because they're very enthusiastic. They never sitting around doing nothing. They always have a plan that they're doing and working on. But out of balance, Pitta people become obsessive and they become angry and they become impatient. So if you're the type of person that finds yourself, losing your head because there's traffic on the road, or you can't stand in a queue to take money out of a bank, or you're flying off your handle with the kids and stuff like that because some simple little thing has happened, it's probably an excess of Pitta in your nature. And Pitta is a heating nature. So obviously, to balance that out in Ayurveda, what we're doing to balance things out is we're always choosing the opposite. And it's very intuitive once you get to understand it. So you have a very Pitta person and they go for a meal, and the two things are on offer. There's a lovely hot curry with chili peppers in it, or else there's some other dish, some fish or something like that. So which is going to be better for a Pitta person? Well, chili peppers are probably the last thing a Pitta person needs to be eaten because they're already full of heat, and that additional heat will drive things even more. So, like, the remedies in Ayurveda can be simple little things, like for Pitta people, taking a swim in the summertime is considered a great thing because blue, the sea is blue is cooling color, and the water is cooling as well. So simple things like that, or walking in the moonlight, can be good for Pitta people as well. So these are just very simple examples that I'm given here, okay? We can take it to a much, much deeper level. And in actual fact, the first three classes of the course deal with Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is very important, okay? Because all diseases in Ayurveda, all diseases, arthritis, Parkinson's, dementia, acid indigestion, irritable bowel syndrome, depression, anxiety, ulcers, whatever it is, anxiety, whatever it happens to be, all diseases seen in terms of an imbalance of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And when you go and get involved in Ayurveda, what you're doing is you're trying to discover, well, what's my nature? What's my unique nature? We all have Vata, Pitta, Kapha in us, but to different amounts, okay? What's my nature? More importantly, what's my imbalance? You know your imbalance because of the diseases that you're suffering from. Am I anxious? Am I full of anxiety? Am I worrying about things when there's nothing to worry about? A Vata condition. Have I acid indigestion? Every time I eat some bread or some highly processed food, do I get acid reflux? That's a Pitta issue. Do I have irritable bowel syndrome? That's a Pitta issue. Am I lethargic? Am I obese? Am I maybe prone to a little bit of depression? That can be seen as a Kapha thing. So every disease is seen in terms of an imbalance of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And then what you're trying to do is, with Ayurveda, is you're recognizing this. You're recognizing these qualities within yourself. and then you become aware of the things that you can do to bring yourself back into balance. Now, there are so many things that you can do to bring yourself back into balance, like Ayurveda deals with your diet. So it's looking at the food that you're eating. Are you eating highly processed foods all the time with very little nutritional value? And then are you lethargic and have a lack of energy? Are you eating good foods but eating them very late at night time? Are you eating your meals when you're watching TV or when you're driving your car eating a sandwich? So the way we eat and the strength of our digestion is incredibly important. We have a whole lesson devoted to digestion because Ayurveda says it's not what you eat, it's what you digest. You can be eating good foods. You can be going to an organic farm and getting lovely foods and, wild meats and all these type of things and eating really good food. But if your digestion is weak, you can't process the nutrients from that. So one of the first things that Ayurveda does is it looks at the person's digestion and how strong is it. And we know how strong the digestion is from how people feel after they eat, and also how regular they are in their bowel movements. And all types of indicators will let you know whether your digestion is strong or not. So we're trying to address all of these things through diet and lifestyle. But as I say, your diet is very important. Your lifestyle is very important. And sometimes in Ayurveda, herbal preparations may be recommended for a person. Herbs and plants, particularly spices and herbs, are seen to contain nature's intelligence. They're very specific. They have very great properties within them. And sometimes if there's an imbalance in you, then you take in that plant that has that intelligence and you can use that intelligence then to restore balance within yourself. So herbs and spices are very important. And then there's a whole lot of different treatments that people can do. Massages, abhyanga, shirodhara, where they pour oil on your forehead. Very, very good for people who are suffering from stress or traumatic, some post-traumatic distress, some traumatic has happened. Very, very good for calming the mind down. Marma therapy, the use of specific points on the body where energy flows through to bring relaxation, deep relaxation and stress release. And you're going to discover all about these things through this 7-lesson course. So that's essentially, this is just a brief overview, okay? That's essentially what Ayurveda is. It's a system that sees your ill health in terms of imbalance and your health in terms of balance. And it gives you the knowledge to be able to recognize what sort of nature you have, and then based on that, to make correct choices in life. Because everything you do is either bringing you balance or bringing you out of balance. Well, not everything. Some things can have a neutral effect, okay? But when we know about these things and we're awake to the way that things affect us, then we can make much better choices. Now, the other thing about it is that unfortunately, most people only even begin to consider their health when they have a problem. When we're young and happy and running around and doing all those things, we don't really think about our health because it's not an issue. We just get on with things but eventually life takes its toll, especially if you're living in a not so great way, okay? Life takes its toll and then these things start to manifest. And that's when people become interested in healthcare. But Ayurveda sees 6 stages of disease, okay? It doesn't see that you're perfectly healthy one day and the next day you have some chronic condition, okay? It doesn't work like that. The body is very, very resilient. And, you can give it some abuse, you can feed it the wrong things, you can stay up late at nighttime, you can drink too much alcohol, and over time it'll recover. But if you keep doing that all of the time, eventually, you're going to go out of balance. And the great thing about Ayurveda is it recognizes 6 stages of disease, and it recognizes very early stages of disease, way before you'd even consider going to a doctor with a problem. In actual fact, it's around the 5th state of disease that people tend to end up going to doctors to get some help. But with Ayurveda, you can begin to recognize these imbalances much earlier on. And the great thing is the earlier you recognize the imbalance, the earlier you catch it, the easier it is to resolve it. A few little lifestyle changes in the beginning will be enough to redress some problem that hasn't ingrained itself in your nervous system deeply. But obviously, if you're at stage 5 or 6, you've got very bad arthritis, you're beginning to suffer with dementia, then there's a lot more work has to be done in order to reverse that situation. But even straight away, we can begin to see some benefits when we begin to implement some Ayurvedic practices. And Ayurveda in Ireland, like in our centre in Ireland, we have 4 Ayurvedic doctors. Now, I'll just explain what I mean by an Ayurvedic doctor. The main doctor, well, I won't say the main doctor, I don't upset the other vices, but Dr. Brennan, who I've worked with for a long time, is a medical doctor as well as an Ayurvedic doctor. He's a very, very experienced medical doctor. He studied medicine in UCD. He worked up in Derry back in the 70s during the Troubles in the hospital in Derry City. He was a family practitioner, and more importantly, for the last 30 years or so, he's been a very strong exponent of natural healthcare and Ayurvedic medicine. And some of you may be familiar with Dr. Brennan. He's in the media quite a lot. He's been on the Late Late Show in Ireland, and he's often called upon to give an alternative view to things that are out there. So Dr. Brennan is a medical doctor, as well as having trained in India and America and in the UK in Ayurveda as well. Our other 3 doctors are all 3 of them are Indian ladies that happen to be living in Ireland, and all 3 of them have completed what's known as a BAMS, a Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Science. And as I said before, that's a 6-year degree, and they've all worked in hospitals, they've all done internships and have a huge amount of experience. And our doctors are treating people with all different types of conditions, every single condition that any doctor would be seeing. Our doctors are also seeing and giving people, different advices. And sometimes that advice may be to take a different approach, to take the allopathic approach as well, and obviously go to their own medical doctor, for want of a better way of putting it. But in many cases, even if they are doing that, there'll also be information to give them to things that they can do to change in their lifestyle. Like anybody, no matter how chronic their condition is or how debilitating their condition is, like a meditation practice can bring great relief to somebody in that area, because they realize that there's something beyond the manifest. There's something beyond the external view of life. There's also an internal view of life, and that can bring great peace to people. I'm a teacher of the technique I prefer myself, or I've done myself, is transcendental meditation. I've been doing it since 1989, so I don't even want to count the number of years there, but a long time anyway. And I find it very, very beneficial for helping with all the different things that life can throw at you. So Ayurveda has many, many different things to offer, and you're going to learn all about them in this 7-lesson course. So this introduction is the first lesson. Then we have a course on Vata, a lesson on Pitta, and a lesson on Kapha. And then we have a lesson on digestion, the rhythms of nature, how nature flows with the different seasons and the changes we need to make in those different seasons. And then the last lesson is on the 6 stages of disease. So I hope you stay with us on the journey. You're going to get 2 lessons a week. You can watch them in your own time. We don't take them down or anything like that. You can go back over this course as many times as you want. The lessons will be there. We also, once you've registered for this course, we run very regular Q&As with our doctors, so over Zoom, obviously. And, once you've registered and we have your email address, we'll keep you informed of those courses that we do. The Q&As are free. We run at least 1 a month, and you can come on and ask questions about the course, or you can ask questions about any health condition that you may have. Also, feel free to email me at any stage if there's anything you're not so sure about. So I'm noel@ayurveda.ie, or you just respond to the email where you registered for this particular course. So noel@ayurveda.ie. Okay, great. So that's a broad overview of what the course is. And now I want to start introducing you to the doctors that are going to take the course. And the first doctor that I want to introduce you to is Dr. Don Brennan. And Dr. Don Brennan, I kind of think of him as a bit of a legend in his own lifetime, really, in a way. He's been an exponent of natural healthcare and Ayurvedic medicine for many, many years now. It's been my privilege and pleasure to work with him since maybe the early 90s, I'd say, is when I started working with Don, or maybe the mid 90s is when I started working with Don. He has consulted with literally thousands upon thousands of people. He, as I say, he's a medical doctor. He graduated from UCD. He worked in Auckland Hospital up in Derry during the Troubles, so he obviously saw some not so nice things during that. He was a family GP. He worked in the UK as a GP, and we have many, many people from the UK join our courses because Dr. Brennan worked over there for many, many years. He now lives and works in Monkstown in County Dublin. And it's my great pleasure. He's very, I would have to say, I would think that he's one of the most highly skilled, highly qualified, Western trained Ayurvedic doctors in the world at this stage because of the depth of experience that he has. And he has people from all over the world consult with him. And he is a great asset to us to have given this course as well. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Brennan. And when Dr. Brennan is finished saying what he has to say, I'll come back and then I'll introduce you to the next doctor. So thank you very much for listening to me. And Dr. Brennan, you can go ahead.
Very much, Noel, for that very comprehensive introduction to Ayurveda, and inspiring to see it's getting to the highest level of recognition now. I would like to just, as would each of us, take one aspect that we feel is very important that we would like you to take away from this short course. And so these three things form a fundamental basis to a healthy life, and it just focuses your mind for the rest of the course, hopefully, to pick up on these three. And in order to introduce the particular fundamental that I'm going to talk about, I just want to bring you on a personal journey, because as a teenager, my real concern and interest and question was, why do people suffer? And I could see nowhere around me people who really didn't, nor any answer to the question that was profound. And so I thought to myself, well, the best field probably to find out would be medicine. And if medicine didn't know, at least I'd have 7 years more to think about it. So I ended up doing medicine, and was shocked when I came to the end of the medical course to discover that medicine didn't know. It's not a fundamental situation where it has sorted out the reasons for suffering and ameliorates them. In fact, it turned out actually that the practice of medicine was more symptomatic based, trying to treat the anxiety or trying to treat the cancer, and very superficial in its approach, purely physical, mainly, with surgery and medicines being the prime instrument. So that was shocking to me. But something had happened to me in the process of medical studies, which was that I had learned transcendental meditation and had witnessed in myself mood swings, which were quite disruptive at times, and increasing anxiety with the pressures of the medical course, just settled down. And I became, by the end of the medical course, quite a happy person. And I thought, well, there must be something here. So relatively soon after doing the medical training, I trained as a TM teacher. And then I was in a complete dilemma, because with the TM, I was teaching people and I could see their suffering relieved and they're becoming happier through the simple practice of sitting down, closing their eyes and transcending. But at the same time, I was working in casualty in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, and I could see people coming in traumatized and through the medical approach ease their suffering. And so I couldn't bring them together until I studied Ayurveda. So Maharishi Ayurveda was a perspective that drew me in because it explained why each of us suffer. And it comes back to what Noel was telling us, that fundamentally we are being. We are transcendence, we are consciousness. And this is the paradigm that Maharishi Ayurveda is bringing to our attention. And so within us is all the information and the intelligence, which is arising from that refined essence of being, in order for us to conceive and construct and to govern and become our bodies, right? And so having done that, our culture and traditions focuses outwardly, and unfortunately, it has to be said, our culture is dominated by a maddening pursuit of wealth, as if that was the means of fulfilling all desires. And yet we see the happiest people are often the poorest, and the wealthiest are often not an inspiration. So what is the cause of suffering? Ayurveda describes, like quantum physics describes, how nature unfolds in layers and layers. In physics, it will be energy, it will be fine particles, it will be atoms, molecules, tissues, organs, a physical structure. In Ayurveda, Maharishi Ayurveda, it's consciousness at the depth. It unfolds as fine feelings, it unfolds as an intellect, it unfolds as a mind, it unfolds as these 5 dynamics that Noah was talking about, giving rise to the doshas that structure our bodies. So at every level, laws of nature, as they're called in science, which are principles of organization. It's like the rules whereby consciousness must operate to unfold our physiology. So that laws of nature, that intelligence, that information is within. And our fault that causes us suffering is that we've been trained to look out. And in so doing, from childhood, we start to lose the memory, that wonderful inspiration and joy of the child, where they're intuitively in touch with a more profound level, they innocently manifest, express it. And there's such a joy because the field of consciousness is bliss. And so as they grow up, they're trained to look out. We forget who we are. We forget, therefore, all that flow of life from within. And because we lose our memory of the structuring principles of the organizing intelligence within ourselves, we make mistakes. And when we make mistakes, we go against our grain. As Noel said, we go out of balance. And the way we know we're out of balance is we suffer. So our suffering is actually due to our lack of insight, and therefore, in all field of Maharishi Ayurveda, the one fundamental is to wake up to that inner being. And the specific technique that has passed down through the most ancient tradition for that purpose is now known as transcendental meditation. There are different forms of meditation for different purposes. There is mindfulness to make you more mindful, which gives you insight as well and helps. There is compassion meditation, which is a much more focused type of meditation. So there are 3 types of meditation: focused, sort of mindfulness, attentive to something, and the transcendental meditation, which is the innocent process of allowing the awareness to do what the awareness would love to do, which is go back home and have a rest. And in that silence, of that stillness of awareness, to awaken to who you are. Now, this is not an idea. It is not an intellectual concept. It is not a grand theory. This is an experience. And because it is an experience, because it's beyond thought, we have to actually awaken to know, absolutely to know this field. And in so doing, our subtle level of awareness starts to align with that fundamental field and starts to actually process our feelings and then our thoughts and then our speech and then our action in line with all these innate wisdom of organizing principles or laws of nature. So we spontaneously start to compute life in terms of our living, which is in tune with nature, in tune with our needs, in tune with life as a whole. So if all of us, or a good proportion of us, could only wake on that level, this planet would have been secured. The reason this planet is so under threat and there is so much discord and unhappiness in the world is because we've forgotten who and what we are. And that's why I feel in the whole tradition of wisdom of Ayurveda, this most fundamental advice to experience your being, to transcend, is a fundamental, which when people do it, even spontaneously, they start to live life in tune, to go to bed at the right time, to eat the right foods, and so forth. It empowers, it motivates. So my number one, and it's a wonderful process of ongoing progressive awakening, of development and becoming more wise and more spiritual as life goes on. Practice transcendental meditation 20 minutes twice a day. I leave that with you. That is what I want you to take away from this course.
Okay, Dr. Brennan, thank you very much for that. So, Dr. Brennan there dealt with that most fundamental level of life, which is consciousness, and TM being one of the techniques that allows us to go back and experience that and enliven that. And obviously, being in tune with your nature or being awake to your nature is an incredibly important thing. So now Dr. Naheed is going to talk. Actually, I think Dr. Naheed is just muted there. I'll have to unmute her. And Dr. Naheed, hi, Dr. Naheed.
Naheed is still muted.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Naheed, how are you? So I think you're going to cover you feel a very important thing with Ayurveda is digestion.
Yes. So Ayurveda, there is a saying in Ayurveda that it's not what we eat, it's what we digest. So Ayurveda puts a great emphasis on digestion and archaic as well, because ultimately at the end product of digestion is oja, which you are going to learn from this course. So what I'll emphasis on what you can take from this course is that how important our digestion is. So Ayurveda not only has described about the diet, like what should be the diet, but also how a person should eat. Like I just give you a few examples, and then you'll get to know in detail about the digestion in the lesson 6 from all of us. So there are a few examples, like if you have to put at least a 3 hours gap between your meal so that your previous meal gets digested properly and you don't produce any metabolic toxin out of that. You use that food, what you have it, and you make good tissues and good urges out of that. So why digestion is so important in Ayurveda? Because digestion, if we say that that's the process in which whatever we eat, it goes under process and our body utilizes that. From the Ayurvedic point of view, when we eat something, we form rasa, the first body tissue. So the more healthy is the rasa, the subsequently all the other tissues will form from rasa. So Rakta, Mangsha, Meda, Majja, and Shukra all will form from that rasa, which is the finest nutrient products out of our digestion. And then we form the ojas, which is our stabilizing force, which is our immunity, which actually just keep us healthy enough and able us to fight with any disease and withstand any circumstances in any crunch situation. And also I would like you to emphasize that you will get to know about how a vata and a pitta and a kapha person digest their food. How is their digestive capacity? So a vata person mostly have like irregular kind of digestion. The pitta have a very sharp kind of digestion. Kapha have very slow, very sluggish kind of digestion. So what should be your food preferences if you are a vata? What should be your food preferences if you are a pitta? And what should be your food preferences if you are a kapha? What should be the after process when you have your food? Like you need to just sit down, you need to go out for a walk. So why this walk is important? Why it's related to diet? It's because our gut is very well connected to our mind. So when you go for a walk, when you go out, you are relaxing your mind. You are giving a good environment to your entire system to digest your food properly. So all I say that just focus on each lesson, like how a vata, pitta, and kapha body behaves, and how their digestion behaves, and how should they plan their food accordingly. And you might be facing troubles, like you are a vata, your husband is pitta, and maybe your kapha child is kapha. So you don't know how to cook your food properly, like how you manage around like something you are digesting properly and your other family member are not able to do that properly. So you'll get to know in this course how you can plan your diet, how you can do can go very easily around with cooking your food and enjoying your food. So be with us, enjoy the course, and I'll hand over to you, Noel.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, so thanks very much for that. Yes, so that diet and digestion are incredibly important in Ayurveda because obviously, like you're rebuilding your body all the time. It's amazing to think that the physical structure that you have, that you're watching this video with now, within 3 years, nearly 100% of that will have been replaced within 1 year. 99% of the physical you sitting in the chair there won't be you anymore. It'll have, all the atoms, all the cells will have regenerated themselves. You're creating something like 300 billion new cells every day. That's more stars than there are in the Milky Way. And yet this is happening without your conscious control. It's just all happening in the background. But obviously you need ingredients to make those new cells. And the ingredients is what you breathe and what you eat. So what you take into your body is very, very important. And not only what you take into your body, but the power of your digestion to be able to make the best use of what you're taking in. So even if you are eating good in-season food, but your digestion is being disturbed and is weak, then you're not digesting it properly. It's like taking coal and putting it on a big load of coal and putting it on a fire that's not lit. All it does is put the fire out as opposed to generating more heat. So getting your digestion correct is very, very important in Ayurveda. Having a good fire within the gut so that when you do put food in there, that it gets broken down correctly. And Dr. Naheed mentioned one of the first tissues that comes from the digestion of food, which is rasa. And we're going to be discussing all of those different, how one tissue turns into another tissue and how it's very important to have strong digestion the whole way along. So we're going to cover that a lot. As Dr. Naheed said, a Kapha person will have a different power of digestion than a Vata person, who will have a different power of digestion than a Pitta person. So you'll discover your nature as we go on with this course, and we'll have lots and lots of tips for people about how to strengthen their digestion if your digestion is weak, and also great tips about the types of foods that you should be eating, both from a seasonal and a daily point of view as well. So thanks very much for that, Dr. Naheed. So we now go to Dr. Rajvinder. I'm sure many of you know Dr. Rajvinder as well. She's been working in the Ayurveda Center since about 2007. She's a very well accomplished Ayurvedic doctor. She's treated thousands of people as well and consulted with thousands of people. And I think, Dr. Rajvinder, your favorite area in this course is going to be around the lifestyle that people should get involved in and the things that they should do. So maybe you should say a few words about that.
Yes, no, thank you. Well, Ayurveda is, we're going to talk that in detail, is made up of two words, which is Ayu and Veda. So Ayurveda is all the knowledge about your life. So it's a way of living. So it's a path that you walk on. And Ayurveda encourage people to find the balance in their mind, body, and spirit, because they all are connected to each other. As you have heard Dr. Brannin and Dr. Naheed talking about how important the meditation is, how important the food is. So the third aspect of your health is the lifestyle. So Ayurveda has a big wealth of knowledge on the lifestyle. How should we live? So that's how we're going to find ourselves, who we are first, knowing your body type, because your prakriti your body type respond to any of the change in your diet, any of the change in your environment, any of the change in your habits. And that's how your Vata, Pitta, Kapha is affected with the slight change in the weather, even you feel it yourself. So the way of living, the lifestyle we call in Ayurveda, is very important. So we're going to discuss in our coming courses about the change, how the time change in the day. And there's a 4-hour window for each of the dosha. There's a 4 hour for Vata in the morning, early morning, 4 hours for Kapha, 4 hours for Pitta, and then back to Vata, like that. So understanding that principle, and I would encourage everybody to make one effort. So the word effort, yes, it is a daily effort in the habit that Ayurveda encourages us to make one change, one new things in our daily routine to achieve the perfect balance. So in the morning, for example, if we say 6 to 10 is the Kapha time. So getting up early is one effort in the day. So getting up in the Kapha time of the day and go for a little walk or do your daily abhyanga to kind of stimulate your body to have a better day, energetic day, and living a full day of full potential and living a day of your full potential. So just getting up early in the morning. And then the second window, which is 10 to 2, is the Pitta time of the day, which Ayurveda emphasizes eating your main meal in the middle of the day. And you will be surprised. It is hard in the beginning because we all are so used to work hard during the day and sit down in the evening and have a big meal. But by changing that, your energy levels are better, your blood glucose are better, and your sleep is better when you eat in the middle of the day. And then in the evening, you take it easy, do your kind of more evening TM and have a light evening meal and go to bed on time. So that's how Ayurveda have divided your day into these 4 hours of window, and there is always a choice to do this particular thing in that hour. So that's what lifestyle is. There's a huge amount of wisdom there, and you can do a lot more. I'm just touching just one little point here. So what when you go to Ayurveda physician, they look at you and they tell you about your body type, and they tailor this personal unique lifestyle for you. And by following this, don't get overwhelmed with so much knowledge, so many different tips. Just do one at a time, and it bring a big change into your body, into your balance, and into your day. So this so I will say, this little effort in your habits on the daily basis, the guidance is this ancient wisdom. We are not guiding you. The guidance comes from the wisdom, which is very ancient, more than 5000 BC, as you have heard a lot, and still working. And you live a life that is full of health, full of happiness, and you reach your full potential in your life. So this is what Ayurveda lifestyle is about. You tune in with yourself, you get to know yourself, and slowly, you don't need a physician to tell you, do this, do that. You get connected to yourself better. And there's a whole lot of research on this circadian rhythm, on the lifestyle, and I think that is the most upcoming lifestyle medicine will be practiced a lot in the coming years. So here you're getting all the wisdom through this wonderful series of lectures, through our wonderful doctors and our wonderful Noel, who is guiding all of us. So thank you.
Okay, Dr. Razvinder, thank you very much. And I think you said something really important there as well, is that people, we've had habits for years, people are different ages and all that, and they've been doing things for a long time. We can't change, and we shouldn't want to change all our habits straight away. It wouldn't make sense. It would be too much on the nervous system. So we change a little thing. If you're used to going to bed at 1 o'clock every day at nighttime, then obviously sleep is so important in Ayurveda, and we know now that sleep is incredibly important. And 1 o'clock is too late at nighttime to be going to bed. You've missed a lot of the healing that can go on during the pitta time in the evening. But you can't suddenly start going to bed at 9:30 if you've been going to bed at 1 o'clock every day. So you bring it back. You bring it back a half an hour. You bring it back an hour. And the same, with your food, you can't suddenly just give up everything that you've been doing. So it's baby steps, it's little steps. But the great thing is when you do make a change, then you begin to feel better, then that encourages you to do more changes. If you try to take it all on in one go, you suddenly realize, oh no, I'm too uncomfortable with this, I can't do this. And then you just stop and you give up and you just go back to your old ways. So it's baby steps, it's little changes. And we have a whole lecture devoted to the cycles within the day, and a healthy daily morning routine with cleaning your mouth and cleaning your tongue. And we'll show you how to do the oil massage and put oil in your nose to help kill viruses that get in there and keep this respiratory area very, very clean. We go through the middle of the day and the importance of your main meal, and then what to do in the afternoon, and then what to do in the evening. So all of these things we will cover in the course as we go on. So that's what we wanted to do today, basically, was give you an introduction to our 3 doctors that are going to guide the lectures. They've outlined 3 main areas that they feel are very important. Dr. Brennan, in relation to enlivening that consciousness through a meditation technique. The one he prefers is transcendental meditation. It's my own personal technique as well, but there are other techniques as well. So we enliven that consciousness through that stillness, through experiencing that stillness, which silence is, we've known from all cultures that to experience stillness is very, very beneficial to people. And then Dr. Naheed talked about the importance of a strong digestion. And we're going to go over that, and we're going to show the things that can knock your digestion out of balance and how important it is to have that strong digestion. And then finally, Dr. Razvinder talked about, all the lifestyle things that we're going to be talking about throughout this course. So what I want to do now, if you don't mind, is I just want to share our website with you, because there are lots of resources on this website that are going to be very important during this course. So okay, so this is our website here, ayurveda.ie, okay? And I just want to bring your attention to, when you go there, the spelling of Ayurveda, for new people, it's ayurveda.ie. So there's the spelling up there, okay? If you go to this menu option, Ayurveda, there's some great information here for new people, okay? So there is an article about Vata, an article about Pitta, and an article about Kapha. So you can read up about these 3 doshas. There's an introduction which tells you the importance of the doshas, and then there's an actual body type test that you can do yourself. So you can get an idea, or begin to get an idea. I wouldn't say it's 100% perfect and it changes as people go on, but you can begin to get an idea of what your dosha is, you know. So you can do that body type test, and so you get some idea of where we're going with this. And so all of those things between now and the next class, which will be on Thursday, maybe if you get a chance, you can go take a look at that. The other thing I want to bring you to is our YouTube channel, because this is where we're going to be putting up the repeats of the courses if you missed them. And we have a wealth of knowledge up on this YouTube channel. There are lots of videos on different topics, so you can scan down through this. I will be referring throughout the course to different videos that we will want you to watch. Like there are cookery course videos here. There are you know, videos about the change of season. There's one, how to make an immunity boosting tea with Dr. Ritvinder. Another one, how to make ginger juice. There's some there about cooking. And then later on down, Dr. Brennan has lots of small videos about different topics that may be afflicting people. So this is a huge resource for knowledge. And as I say, this is where we're going to put up our Ayurveda courses. But you get to that very easily just from our website, just down here, you visit our YouTube channel. So that's what I wanted to show you there. This Ayurveda menu where you can start getting a lot of information about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and then also the link to our YouTube channel. So, so that's it. That's what we wanted to cover today. So what we're going to do now, and what we always do in these courses, is we have a Q&A. And what we'll do in this is we will take preference to questions in relation to the topics that we've covered today. So if there's anything in this video that you want to ask about, then please feel free to go ahead and ask. As usual, we'll try to answer any question, regardless of what it's about. But obviously, we'll just give preference to questions about the topics that were covered today. But our doctors are here to answer those questions, so we'll hand over and we'll start our Q&A now.
Well, can I just by saying that, you know, when I did finally train in Maharishi Ayurveda, there was a lot of resistance to the whole concepts, and the inevitable question was, show me the evidence, you know. And it was lovely to hear Dr. Rajvinder point out towards the end of our talk how everything that we're now saying and have been saying and has been said for the past thousands of years in Ayurveda is increasingly evidence-based. The evidence is, you know, so powerful that anybody who denies these suggestions that we're giving to you is just closed-minded, actually, and refusing to take responsibility. And our challenge to you is that, you know, when you hear the suggestions, that you actually take responsibility, because what will heal is you learning how to love yourself and listen to your own needs and integrate these suggestions, because you will feel better, you will be healthier, you'll prevent a lot of diseases, you may even heal what problems you have. And so we can only give you the information and encourage and motivate you as best we can. And so we hope you enjoy the course, and I'll hand you back to Noel to get your questions, which we're always looking forward to hearing.
No, that's great, Don. Thanks very much for pointing that out, because it is becoming more and more increasingly evidence-based. And, you know, one of the things that we really enjoy is getting testimonials back from people. And we have, you know, so many of them, for people who have done these courses, who have made lifestyle changes, who maybe have had a consultation with a doctor, started to adopt some of these things, and they've seen chronic conditions that they've lived with for years and years and years, begin to reverse and begin to ease, and their lives becoming healthier and happier. And that's the proof of the pudding. It's in the tasting. So you make these changes. Nobody's going to continue with these changes unless they're seeing benefits. So you make these changes in your life, and then you start to see the improvement, and you start to feel better, and you start to feel healthier, and you start to feel happier. And when you feel all those things, you don't want to feel any other way. That's the great thing about it, because it's great to feel healthy and happy, and you simply don't want to feel any other way. And then that encourages you to do the correct things. And it's not a matter of hardship to do the correct things. It's just a matter that you actually want to do the correct things. Okay, so that's fantastic. So we'll start our Q&A now. So I see some questions coming in there, doctor. So if you want to start answering them.
I think, no,
Oh.
Pitta, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to mind Vata? Are you supposed to mind Pitta? And what you really want to remember is that the whole purpose of Ayurveda is to help you to be self-reflective and to recognize for yourself what your needs are. And that comes increasingly with your increasing exposure to and appreciation of the Ayurvedic principles. So if you're two doshas like that, and that's very, very common to be two doshas, either you're very, very balanced or you're out of balance. If it's the situation that you're out of balance, then that takes priority because you want to come back towards your own innate nature, to your healthy, balanced state. So if you've got Vata imbalances like constipation and anxiety and palpitations and a bad back and a tremor and God knows what else, and you see that it's all to do with movement and Vata out of balance, then obviously for you to get the extra rest, to get the good night's sleep, to get the relaxed meals, to have an oil massage, for you, your need is to focus on Vata through all ways possible until you're back to balance. And then you follow your physiology through the seasons. And obviously when it comes to the summer, you'll naturally be drawn to cold foods and drinks to cool the heat of your nature. Naturally, you'll want to have a little bit more fun and to chill out. So yes, then in the summer you're minding Pitta more, but then the winter, the cold, blowy autumn comes in and you start to feel the cold. You go back to hot foods and drinks and a little bit more emphasis on your rest and your routine again for Vata. So like that, you learn to flow with the seasons. But initially, balance the imbalance and then be motivated by your nature and the season. I hope that makes sense. Maybe Dr. Nahid or Dr. Raj could clarify it more.
Yeah, so this question is like very common and very interesting, that if you have two doshas, then how are you going to manage yourself? What should be your diet type? So if I just simplify this, then I'll say like you can eat anything in moderation. Like every person, if your Vata and Pitta both are in same ratio, but still you are going to have imbalance either in your Vata or either your Pitta. So you need to focus on the dosha which is more imbalanced at that moment. And the second thing is, if you know that you are a Vata, then you can eat things which are light, which are dry in nature, but you need to eat that in moderation, in less frequency. Similarly, if you are a Pitta as well, then you need to focus on your diet, that it should not be very sour, it should not be very, spicy, it should not be very hot. So in this way, you can manage your diet. You can eat everything, just eat everything in moderation. Maybe Dr. Rajvinder would like to put some light on this.
Yeah, you both are right. What's going on at the present moment? That's what you need to. So you have all the three. You don't only have two. You have all the three. It's the dominancy. So I explained it to people. It's like a seesaw, where you have to find the balance. If the Vata is going up, you're feeling sensitive. You're feeling less. Sleep is disturbed. And if the Pitta is going, you're feeling your adrenals are burning. You're feeling kind of too heat, angry, impatient, all of that. You need to see what's happening. So there are two things here, Prakriti and Vikriti. So you have to see, this is your Prakriti, which is your real nature, which is your body type. And that's who you are, and that you will always be. That's when you're happy. And your Vikriti is your imbalance. That's when you feel something is off and you don't feel yourself. And that's what you're correcting. So through your diet, lifestyle.
And quickly add the question to that, I am Vata Pitta, but I'm always too hot. Do I have a Pitta imbalance? Actually, Joyce, I think that's good insight, because your feeling hot would suggest Pitta, and your natural inclination in that situation is to cool down. So yes, I would be agreeing with you that in that situation you would want to balance the Pitta imbalance, even though it's cold winter, but you want more soothing of your Pitta.
You're drinking too much.
Drinking too much what?
wine, alcohol,
Wine, oh yeah, that's a big
coffee,
issue.
or maybe
Could be
coffee.
an argument either. That can provoke the pitta and you get real hot.
In the lockdown, lots of people say they are drinking more. They're drinking more
Oh
coffee.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So is interesting.
And there is a question.
Go ahead, Nahid.
Thank you. So there's a question about how you can know your body type. So we have a quiz in our website. You can go there and you can check your body type, and that's your homework as well. And from the next lesson as well, we are going to discuss, like on just next lesson, we are going to discuss about vata and then pitta and then kapha. So you'll get to know that how a normal pitta behaves or how a normal vata behaves when they are in normal condition, and when they go out of balance, how they behave. Then you'll be able to slowly, when you're doing the course, you will be able to assess yourself whether you are balanced and whether you're imbalanced. And if your body is like very intelligent, I always say this, that will give you sign and symptoms. And if you find there are lots of sign and symptoms, then we are there to help you out. You can contact us, you can have a consultation, and you can just get to know that what's your prakriti and what's your vikriti.
There's a question there, is intermittent fasting for 18 hours good? Again, that's the beauty of Ayurveda, because it gives you a personalized understanding of what you should do. Because if someone is vata, to go 18 hours without food may not be good. But if it's kapha, if you're much more kapha, it could be brilliant. So it's different strokes for different folks. And so Angelica, I would say, if you're more on the kapha side, you'll be able to fast long and it'll be good for you. But vatas, and really the secret again is that we all have our innate wisdom, and if we're fiercely hungry, we shouldn't ignore it, you know. Independent of what we think is right, if we're fiercely hungry, we should eat. And the other question was, should kapha have the main meal in the middle of the day? It's more important for kapha than any other dosha, because if they don't have the main meal in the middle of the day, they eat too heavily from 6 to 10 morning and 6 to 10 evening, which are kapha times. So that provokes kapha. So yes, main meal in the middle of the day for kaphas.
And like regarding this question, I would like to just point out something, that whether Ayurveda recommends intermittent fasting or not. So Ayurveda strongly recommends that eat only when you are hungry. So that's the best thing, when you are not hungry, you're not going to eat, and you are going to have a proper gap between your two meals. That's ultimately going to be your intermittent fasting. And as Dr. Brennan says, based on your body type, you can consider your hours of intermittent fasting.
Mia is asking, is there, like, to treat the chronic autoimmune, is it too much? It require bigger changes? Mia, depends what's going on. It's a bit of commitment in the beginning, just maybe introducing a little bit of spices in your diet, eating your main meal in the middle of the day, going to bed on time, all the basic principles we're going to talk in the coming courses, or if you have listened to the courses before, the basics are the same. But we will design a kind of a plan where we go with the diet, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, and what should be your lifestyle, and certain herbs. So it's a little effort in the beginning to change your habits, but it's not that hard. A lot of my patient has, and once they get into the swing of things, it's easier. It's easy for them. They start liking the food, and it's easy for them to, maybe, for example, giving up coffee or giving up snacks. And the question on the red wine was, somebody said in the Middle East they drink red wine for keeping their body warm. In moderation, it's fine. Yeah, but if you're already feeling very hot, then you better avoid it. So.
Okay. When best? Go ahead, Nahid.
No, you go ahead.
No, you.
Thank you. So there's a question about, I'm always cold, what do you recommend? So like regarding doshas, the opposite balances and the likes increases. So if you are cold, then you need to focus to keep yourself warm. You can do that by adding some of the warming spices in your diet. It can be cumin, it can be ajwain, caraway seeds, it can be ginger, which can give you internal heat and can keep you calm. And just cover yourself properly and do abhyanga. Abhyanga helps to calm down your vata and will let you not feel that much cold. It will give you a warming sensation, and you can do that followed by a hot shower.
So there was a question about doshas. Liver and gallbladder are more pitta, hot organs in the midriff, pitta, whereas kidney can be a combination of kapha because its water works in vata. So, and when's best to exercise? Kapha times of the day, early morning or early evening would be really good. And Mary says, celiac, where does she start? Well, Mary, if it's a full-blown celiac condition, then you just have to be off the gluten. But if it's not a profoundly entrenched genetic disorder like that, a lot of people can't handle gluten because their digestive systems are not good. So you must focus on the advice around digestion as a start.
Somebody was asking the Shanshamnivati, what is that? We have equivalent to that MA630, and that is to deal with the COVID situation, with the malaria, with the virus, bad cold and flu, a lot of different conditions. But again, you take it under the supervision of your doctor. You ask the doctor first. But somebody said they can't see on the website. Noel, is it there? I think it's there.
MA630, yeah. The best way to find anything on the website is use the search bar. There's so many products on there. So just use the search bar on the homepage, and MA630 with no gaps. We have it in stock, so I'm pretty sure it's on the website. I'll double check again after this, but I'm pretty sure it is up there, you know. So just use the search bar on the homepage, MA630, you know. Someone asked, were essential oils a part of Ayurveda? Absolutely. There's Ayurvedic courses on essential oils that are done, you know. So
we do have Vata Pitta Kapha blends, which is all essential oil.
Yeah, like, we've lots of different blends.
Yeah, we do use essential oils. Yeah, like Vata is very nice. Fennel, lavender, lemongrass. That's what is recommended. And Pitta is cooling aroma, sandalwood, rose. And Kapha is more stimulating one, cinnamon and ginger, things like that. So yeah, essential oils are part of Ayurveda.
So hemorrhoids, yes, obviously you want to keep your elimination very easy. So ensure you're not getting constipated, and make sure you have plenty of fiber in your diet, lots of fruits and vegetables for that, and you're drinking enough fluids. And things like prunes and stewed fruits can be helpful as well. But there's a preparation triphala which is very helpful to keep you moving, and it's taken triphala with rose. It's taken at night going to bed, maybe 1 to 4 tablets with water. But the specific herbal which is very useful for the hemorrhoid is MA247. So I would take maybe 2 tablets of that twice a day before meals with water, and I think that would help. And Francis asks about allergies. I suppose any condition in Ayurveda, what we do is we look at whether it is Vata, Pitta or Kapha, but allergies, you would have to say, are due to ama, or the byproducts from poor digestion and metabolism, which interfere with the immune system. Often they end up being Kapha problems like runny nose, coughs, colds, hay fever, things. It could be related to food. So again, it comes back down to minding digestion and probably minding kapha. But we can't always be very clear because everyone is unique and different. So the advice we give on the answer to these questions would, be far, in a consultation, it would be much more specific to you. Sorry, Noah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, a couple of people are asking about MA630, and somebody said they put it in and they couldn't find it. I've just put it in and it just comes up. So just make sure you're on the right website, ayurveda.ie. And when you put MA630 in, don't use any gaps, just MA630. And should come up, but just be sure you're on the right website. I don't think they have it in the UK at the moment. So if you're on maharishi.co.uk, yeah, Michael McCarthy says MA630 is there using the search. Okay, Michael, great. Glad you found it as well. So, yeah, but I don't think it'll be there for too much longer, to be honest, because we've only a few of them left, but we do have them ordered in from India. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have more,
Somebody asked about fibromyalgia, and that's a difficult long-term chronic condition, but often very good results with Ayurveda. the toxins are byproducts from disturbed metabolism from whatever cause. I mean, often it comes at a time of great stress that the metabolism gets totally thrown, and it constantly lodges toxins in the muscles, giving the pains, and it's disturbed vata that gives the disturbed night's sleep. So there would be a lot of advices to lifestyle, diet, digestion, balancing vata, cleansing the toxins. But it's quite feasible to get back to normal. It will take some months.
There's a question about vitamin D deficiency from Jyoti Chayaya. How does Ayurveda address vitamin D deficiency? My blood tests are constantly indicating low levels.
Sunbathe.
You won't be doing too much sunbathing at the moment, but even though today wasn't bad, it was a spring day today here, all right. But sunbathe, or I presume food state vitamin D, if you can, supplementation.
You've a nice one from Cytoplan, Noel.
Yeah, there's a nice vitamin D on our website from Cytoplan. Just again, put vitamin D in the search bar, or go down to vitamins and minerals in the shop, and you can see it there. But
if you're continuously deficient, it is absorption problem. Probably you're not absorbing it. So make sure the brand is good as the Cytoplan, or I would recommend combining it with the CalciCare, because it helps with the absorption of the nutrients in the body. So CalciCare is MA953, and plenty of green veg and all of nice.
And do not have tea or coffee after having your meal. Just immediately after having your meal, and having any herbals, any supplement for vitamin D and calcium as well.
Can pregnancy cause an imbalanced dosha?
Oh, pregnancy is wonderful. It's really good for health. Really,
the person might be overdoing, might be overwhelmed. So rest and enjoy this wonderful time.
But the thing there is that it's described in Ayurveda as rejuvenating. Each tissue in turn of the body gets sorted and resolved. So the actual pregnancy itself is a process of renewal, which of course is nature preparing you to be, for the next 4 years at the beck and call of a baby. But it can be very healthy. It's a matter of course, taking advantage of it to do everything for your health, for your baby's sake, as well as your own at that time.
Yeah. So somebody said a very nice thing. Alison is saying, so the doshas can be affected by many things: time of the day, season, time of life, and lifestyle, and so forth. But we are always trying to put dosha back into balance from where we are, and then strengthening the mind and body from there. Our aim is to get back into the right balance for us as an individual. Yes, that's right, Alison. You got it.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
There was a comment there. Sorry, Dan. There was a comment there from somebody. I just missed it. They're coming in so fast about the fact that people working, they can't. There's so little time that they can't get a proper lunch or anything like that. And like we're advising to eat your main meal in the middle of the day. So what you need to do is learn how to make a flask lunch, and we have a little video about doing that on our YouTube channel. So if you make a flask lunch that you prepare, and by the time you get to 1 o'clock or 12:30 or whatever time you have, then the meal is prepared for you, and you then eat that meal, and then you go for a little walk. And that's the very minimum you should be getting, is time to eat a meal and go for a walk for your lunch, But so a flask lunch is the cure to that particular problem, so that you don't have to be eating crisps and sandwiches and stuff like that. And it's very easy to prepare a flask lunch.
Anthony, I love your question. Would TM help your resistance to change regarding motivating you to get up early and motivating you to move, to go outside and enjoy life again? Anthony, not surprising with all this lockdown, the old kapha, because kapha needs a little bit of stimulation and a variety and spice, and all this boredom of rest. It throws the kapha out, and kapha brings a heaviness to the mood, a dullness to the feeling, a lack of initiative, just a total slowing down. So basically what I would say to you is you've got to actually give yourself, in fact, a good kick up the transom and get moving, because what really balances kapha is your exercise, variety and spice, stimulation, challenge yourself, get out of the bed in the morning, because what you're describing is actually a wonderful indication of what happens when we go out of balance, because we go out of balance very subtly and don't notice it. And the next thing, We stop doing everything that would bring us back to balance. In fact, we start to choose to do exactly the wrong things because the imbalance starts to influence our thinking and we make wrong choices. So now we're feeling good, dull and grotty, and we sleep in, which makes us feel more heavy and grotty and dull. Out of the bed in the morning, do some exercise, you know, and you know, get out and about as soon as you can. Get what exercise you can. It's a kapha season, which makes us more sad. So maybe choose the kapha foods with lots of spices. Maybe do a semi-fast. Eat lightly for a day or two. Drink lemon and honey and warm water. They're simple things, but they can sort of lift that heaviness and bring back your spark.
Natalie Stewart says, I made lovely soup this morning. It took approximately half an hour. Sweet potatoes. Every time I go down, I miss it, but there seems to be some very nice ingredients in that. It's very easy to make a fast lunch. So people, you know, that's one way of getting around that problem.
There is a question about can it cure arthritis in knees? And there was also a question about can it cure rheumatoid arthritis? And was a question about how to balance the osteoporosis situation. So, of course, Ayurveda can cure diseases, but we mostly discuss on the preventive aspects because we don't want to give some general knowledge about any disease like that, because it's always about based on your body type and based on your prakriti. And we have done a detailed webinar on the arthritis where we have covered rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and fibromyalgia. Noel, are we going to repeat that webinar?
Yeah, we will repeat that webinar. I mean, it's available. Anybody can rent it on our website, you know, but we repeat them every now and then. Like Dr. Rajvinder's cookery course 1, we're repeating next week, actually. We will repeat them all. I pick one every now and then and just do a repeat, because actually when you, even though it's available on the website, most people don't, you know, they just never get around to it. Whereas when you run a repeat of it, that kind of focuses their minds on doing it if they're interested in it. So definitely, I mean, that was a 2-hour long webinar with absolutely fantastic information in it, you know. So if anybody is actually suffering from any of those conditions and didn't see that webinar, then they can just rent it on the website, you know. But the best thing is always, if you have a serious condition or you really want to get involved in Ayurveda and go on a path in Ayurveda, is to have a consultation with a doctor, because as I said in the introduction to the video, it's a personalized thing. Everybody's different, and the doctors are trained to pick out, you know, the type of dosha that you are, and you know what are the herbs that are going to be good for you and everything like that. And really, you know, this is an educational course as opposed to an individual consultation where we're individually solving people's problems. Like the things we give here are very general things, really. So anybody that wants to go further should consider having a consultation with one of the doctors, really, especially if it's a serious condition that has or a chronic condition that it can be long lasting and has the potential to get worse.
Some poor lady here has chilblains, painful red toes, and is a Vata person, and Vata tend to have difficulties with cold hands, cold feet, circulation. I would definitely be considering using plenty of hot spices, because if you light the fire centrally, it can help to distribute the heat peripherally as well. I would think of an oil massage as a way of protecting your body from the cold and giving you some more internal heat. I balance the Vata generally. And I wonder, I bet some of our Vaidya's will have some suggestions for chilblains for the circulation. Would Dr. Naheed or Dr. Rajvinder have a thought about the chilblains, the circulation?
Yeah, include more warming spice. I had a guy, John, he might be here on the course. He was having very kind of chilblains in the hands, even in the house. So you need to balance your Vata. If you're eating cold food, salads, and drinking cold water and things, change from there, and slowly your body will pick up. And there are some herbs circulation, so you do consider taking, like, even just general herb like Chyawanprash, which is amla and vitamin C. It has a pip, which is a very warming spice. So just kind of, you have to start taking a bit of warming spices slowly. And a ginger turmeric tea, you just boil the ginger turmeric in your drink down and add some honey. That's a wonderful heating up for your body. Cinnamon is brilliant. Start adding cinnamon to your porridge, cinnamon to your drinks and cooking. So yeah, you can do a lot for that. And massage, I recommend massaging it with the sesame oil or the joint soothe oil, because joint soothe oil ingredients in it. So mix it with sesame and massage on the area. So you stimulate some of the circulation. But avoid any of the electrical gadgets, anything electrical gloves or anything like that.
Anthony, homemade soup gave him heartburn. Well, I suppose it depends on what's in the soup, Anthony, as well. So it could be two things. Either your digestion is completely out of balance, where nearly everything is giving you heartburn. So you really need to look at your digestion there. Or it could be that you have some very heating spices in the soup. So go for more cooling spices in the soup would be the thing to do. But really, soup should not be giving you heartburn unless there's something really.
It might be the tea after the soup.
Sorry?
Might be the tea after the soup.
Tea after the soup. Okay. Okay.
Like Irish people, kettle is on.
Ayurveda recommends not to drink immediately after a meal, leave it a while. How do you deal with a sluggish digestive system? We will have a talk about digestion in the course, and yes, the use of spices helps greatly, and also greatly helps that you're in tune with your body, eating appropriate amounts at appropriate time. So there's a lot of different ways to have a sluggish digestion. How do you rest a very busy mind at night? Francis, I find a very gentle set of asanas before bed really helpful for people. And Noel is running, and Dr. Ajvinder are running yoga courses on Wednesdays and Saturday. And, you pick up some gentle stretching postures that would be ideal for settling the mind, because yoga is about settling the mind.
Yeah, we have a yoga class tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and then we have one on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, and you can book them on the website, and they're great. It's very gentle yoga. It would be perfect for doing before you go to bed at night. Sue Dab has a nice comment there. She said, Amvada always had cold feet, needing hot water bottles, etc. Now I've included spices as recommended, and the problem has gone away. So that's great, Sue. Good to hear that.
I love your comments. There's a lot of beautiful comments about what people have been doing since they've been watching the courses and the changes it's making to their lives. Very uplifting.
Okay, so listen,
What about Naheed? Naheed, you tell me something.
Naheed's falling asleep there.
Doing so much, yeah. 4 o'clock in the morning. God love you, Naheed.
I was just reading the question. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Okay. So I was just saying if there's anything you want to say, because we're doing all the talking.
They're asking what time is good for exercise. Maybe you take that.
Morning.
Yeah,
Morning
so
is the best time to do all your exercises, because that's the kapha time, and kapha needs motivation. Kapha needs to be, do some kind of activity. So morning time is the best time to do your exercise. But if you are too busy, then you can do that in the evening time. When you are not too full, you don't have much food. So it's always better that you are doing your exercises than not doing anything.
Somebody asked about ankylosing spondylitis. It again would tend to be Vata. I would have you doing the oil massage regularly. I tend to balance your Vata generally. And the herbal, if that's what you're looking for, is MA1673. To try that one, because that helps muscles and ligaments as well as joints. So you could take 2 of those twice a day after meals.
Nice comment from Megan's iPhone there. And she said after the last course, she was so inspired, she went and volunteered at an Ayurveda center in France. So well done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
People are asking about TM again. Soham is a different thing. And what makes TM unique is its effortlessness, and it's not tied to anything, not tied to the breath, not tied to anything, which keeps your mind engaged in some process. So the TM is very, very innocent. It's most evidence-based in terms of the general health benefits. And You know, in Rendlesham, yes, they are teaching TM there, and they do Panchakarma occasionally, not all the time. So you'd have to find out from them if they have it. And
Fortunately, there's no one teaching TM in Ireland at the moment. There's no teaching going on whatsoever. But, you know, maybe in March or April, we'll be back up teaching again. So tm-ireland.org is the national website for Ireland. And there's a website in the UK as well.
And Maureen, it's okay to take triphala and red rice yeast at the same time. So that's fine.
Yeah. Could pranayama be as effective as TM? They're different things, really. I mean, pranayama is great, and Dr. Rajvinder teaches it on our yoga classes, and it's very, very good for different things. But transcendental meditation is a different thing than pranayama, a completely different thing, you know.
And in the tradition, the sequence would have been yoga, because yoga are integrating mind and body, and in that process, settling the mind. And pranayama starts to take the mind within, so it's more and more settling. But then the ultimate is to transcend. But for that purpose, the TM takes you deeper within. So it's a lovely logical sequence to do. Another question was about vitamins and mineral supplements. The reality is our foods nowadays are depleted of minerals and vitamins. Also, we have to take into consideration age, because we don't absorb as well as we go on in life. So there certainly is a possibility of supplementing, but be aware that the old type of supplements, which are chemicals made in laboratories, are rubbish and don't do you any good. But in the last 15 years, food-based supplements, where actually it's food extracts, you know, that are, you know, basically the whole plant is there in its essence with the specific vitamins and minerals. Those are absorbed in our body. Those do make a difference. So I regularly would take Cytoplan 50 Plus, because it has all the vitamins in very high proportions as a food-based supplement. I think always remember as well the vitamin D in the winter, and if you're a vegetarian, your vitamin B12, you should consider supplementing that at times anyway, to keep your levels up.
Okay, I think we're getting very close to the end here.
No, what I'm just thinking is, when we had less people, we were able to keep up with the blooming questions. 416 new messages that it frustrates me. I can't get to them.
No, well, sure, look, we can only do what we can do, you know. So listen, it seemed that the live section of this broadcast was perfect, really. I don't see anybody saying anything about the sound, but the video, and it looked good where I was playing it, but obviously there was problems with it. So we may have to consider doing our session a live broadcast on Thursday rather than the one that we recorded, unless I can figure out why it's coming through that way, you know. But anyway, we will I'll put this up on YouTube tomorrow, and maybe when you play it, you might be able to hear it better, because to be honest, the video played perfectly on the computer here. So maybe when you're playing it just yourself off YouTube and there's not 500 or 600 people on the call, then the quality of it might be better, because I really want you to hear that video. It's very, very important. I mean, it's a good start to the course, and it's important because it gives you the basic grounding for the whole course. Now, our next video is on Vata. We're spending a whole class just on Vata. So if you get a chance, go to our website, ayurveda.ie, and do a little bit of homework on Vata. Vata is air and space. So even think of the qualities of air and space, and then you can start to figure out what those qualities are going to be in an individual person, you know. So anyway,
Noel.
Yeah.
Can you please show our website, like when you go on a share screen, and our YouTube channel?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
A lot of people is asking about that.
I did that on the video actually, but obviously it didn't.
It didn't go across.
Didn't come through. Okay, let's hang on a second. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's it there. Can you see that clearly?
Yes.
Okay, so Ayurveda. So ayurveda.ie is our web address, ayurveda.ie. And then go to here, Ayurveda, and you can read about Vata there. That'll open up. There's a body type test you can do there. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. All of these are well worth reading. well, maybe not the health advice videos, but the introduction, the body type test, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and Herbal Power. All of those are worth reading, okay? But for the next class, read up about Vata, and no harm to do a body type test. It's not going to be definitive, but it'll start to give you an idea of what dosha you are. Down here, visit our YouTube channel. Just click on that, and I'll have this video up on YouTube tomorrow for you to go back and look at. And we've lots and lots of videos on our YouTube channel, lots and lots of videos. So I'll
and the next time, if you want a question answered, get it in early, I'd suggest.
yeah, okay, you get it in early if you can, because there's so much there, you know. Anyway, listen, sorry about the quality. It's a new course, so we're just learning as we go along. And I don't think the Zoom, probably we recorded them on Zoom and then we're replaying them on Zoom, and maybe there's a complication with that. So I'm afraid the doctors, we might have to go live on Thursday after all your recording. But anyway, I always prefer live myself anyway. And patience is a virtue. Yes, exactly. Patience is a virtue. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed it. There's still over 500 people on the call, so it must have been good. And we're on again on Thursday. I'll send you the Zoom link Thursday morning. Please get back to me by lunchtime on Thursday if you don't have it. Don't leave it till the last minute if you can, because it puts me under too much pressure. So just get back to me early in the day if you don't have the Zoom link, and I'll send it out to you. Big thank you to our doctors. A special big thank you to Dr. Naheed for staying up so late to be with us this evening.
Thanks, Naheed.
And blessings with our wisdom.
Thank you, Noel, for arranging everything for us.
Yeah, and Dr. Rajvinder as well, and of course Dr. Brennan's words of wisdom as usual. So namaste, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks a million for coming on.
Thank you. Good night.
We
Goodbye.
look forward to seeing you again on Thursday, and you'll get an email off me in the morning as well. And hopefully you'll be able to, oh, there's the girls from Hot Yoga in Dundrum. Hey, how you doing? Nadia and Sophia. Okay, fantastic, everybody. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you again on Thursday, and we might see you on our yoga class tomorrow night with Dr. Rajvinder and myself, you know. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless.